Great to see you. So, good to meet you. Let's continue. So, Vladislav,
yes, actually, I think I can start. Mr. Sotkin, I send you a presentation about BFunk. Is just yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, great. So, in a few words about what do we start? What do we have? It's actually, as you can see, as you know, maybe most of farming companies in the world just work with physical and social activity, and they don't know how biological involve on the their plans. How does it work actually in the ground? How does it work with this microbiome? And we actually more than a year open information for farmers, for farming companies, for everyone with whom we work. And what we show actually, and what we can what is this? It's the most is the best way. BFunk is the best way to see how does it work under your feet, and it's the most and how does it work correctly without without using of human eye, for example, or camera, because we screening all microbiome via DNA and RNA, and we correctly see every pathogen, every bacteria, every viruses just in one sample, and it gives us big amount of information, because even from one sample we get up to 1 terabyte of information, and then we read it, and we see actually, and we know everything about each one bacteria, and how does it how it involves, for example, for potatoes, or how it impact for sugar beet, or everything actually for every plant which farmers grow up, because we see it all. We don't see just one point it's our difference from actually PCR analysis, because we see everything, and we can see and can show all screen of the microbiome on the fields. And actually, it's a good chance to say what do we see and what do we give. It's a first step. It's a AI screening, AI reading of the sample, and it gives us information that you see on the screen. It just screening. It's a first step when the AI screening everything, and gives first information about microbiome that are in that moment on the field, and it gives information about now about when there are bad situation on the field, or not so bad, or it may be okay if we approve something. And for the next, we give a report. And in the report we will give human reading information. Actually, we that information gives from first step when I reading that, and then we get the most newest information about bacteria, viruses, TK from scientists, and push it together with information that we get from analysis, and show you or show you what do you need to do with during your situation, during your machinery, during your weather, ground situation, and etc. And what you should do to, for the first, reduce the losses if you have, or protect your plants, protect your crops in the future, or how you can, and with that you can even perfectly choose crops and crop protection, because we see genomes of pathogens, and you can grow up. Sorry, I forgot. And you can even grow up that's potato that just perfectly correct for that situation on the field. It gives is that and who protected from each pathogens on which pathogens that are just on the one field, and it gives a lot of opportunities for growing, because it develop actually the amount of healthy potatoes, and it can give a small cost, and it develop information for decision makers, because they know that just on that field they have one amount of pathogens, and they know that potatoes will be best for that field, and they will get a much and more actually. It's all is about what we do and what we give from a report, because that's that information we get from the best scientists in the scientific information in the world. And actually you can see as on the screen how does BFIN is useful, and there are similar one of the examples, as you can see how does it work actually, and how does it can be actually in real life. So it's my short presentation as I think is closed. And if you have some questions or maybe some comments, please.
I would like to have some more clarities on how the applications with reference to the Indian situations and ecosystems. I wrote a mail also, because to have it more applicability in terms of deliverables to the farmers, because India is a country of small land holdings. Ecosystems are working in place. We have three categories of people: small farmers, large farmers, and very, very small. So the applicability with reference to the productivity and enhancement, all of those things have to be. Yeah.
Thank you. So I will answer the question. So in fact, the product was initially developed for very large landowners, so like we problem. Which can be extrapolated to large scale landowners. So because so what we do, we have two options. One option, we have a bit simplified test which can describe situation on a small or not so big land plot. So it's like up to so from 1 or 1/2 of hectare up to 100, 150. And another one we have like more data, which is also taken from which is taken so mixed or averaged sample from big landowners. Then we take the information and we create like essential data from a bigger amount of data to enable to use it for bigger fields, for larger areas. Because what is important? So when you have a task to answer the question on a big field or some group of fields in the same area, so you can do it with small number of tests, but you need to have the test with high amount of data to create higher precision. And we have both options. So the smaller option developed for European farmers costs from 540 euros per test when we take like not multiple samples. So when we take up to 5 samples, and if we organize some program and do 10 or, for example, several hundred of samples, we can talk about 350 euros per test. Okay. It is very important for us. When we get any order locally, when it's new area for us, we need to have some time to arrange logistics things and to arrange local extraction of DNA. Okay. So it's cheaper to send, if possible.
How do we do that? We have a large number of farmers and we bring them together under one umbrella. Small clusters. We call it farmer interest groups. So we have different crops like some potatoes, millets, mangoes. So different crops, we take them into consideration and we accumulate them together and give them the support and the total handholding. So whatever agri inputs are required by them, we facilitate them and we provide the technology support as well as the market access with all integration with the pre-harvest and post-harvest logistics. So this we have a large number of beneficiaries, large number of farmers together. So once we understand, and the applicability and the scalability, then I think we will be able to do it. Yeah.
Right. So you have in one place, in one hand, a lot of concentrated tests. In fact, can be delivered.
It is a contiguous area. We take contiguous area, and so we come together in one village or one area, one block. We have the smallest unit is a village. Then we have blocks, Then we have different units up to the district level. So we have large number of farmers under one block, maybe about 1,000 to 5,000 in one group, something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So which geographically in India the area mostly located?
We are operating in Uttar Pradesh, UP, and Andhra Pradesh. My colleague, Mr. Prasanna, is from Andhra Pradesh, and we are operating in Maharashtra, and one even semi-tropical area, that is Uttarakhand, where we have Himalayan zone. So these are the 4 states where we are focusing more: UP, Uttarakhand, Andhra Pradesh, and Maharashtra. I'll write you the details of these areas as well as the crops. And I think we can integrate with reference to the more specific studies and integration with the technology with reference to the farmers, applications.
We can feed the system and the applications through API if needed. We can deliver the data. So definitely. Our work mostly started after we get digital twin of the sample. When we get the digital twin, also, for example, so we can add value. We're adding value when the samples also additionally to the sample. So when we have consequent 2 or 3 samples, because we can predict things so with dynamics. So So definitely, I think it's very interesting. Could you please tell me how many samples can you predict at the beginning, for example?
It depends how one samples represent how big is the area. Yeah. The sample size has to be decided, and then the replications, is possible to determine. This we need to decide. Rather, they need to tell us. We need to decide that what area can be represented by how many numbers of samples. So and we have a system in Maharashtra, in Pune. Some scientists are working on this different technologies. The estimation of the micronutrient, macronutrient by using this the latest technologies. They have developed some sensors also. So next time maybe we can club a meeting with them, because there is an R&D team. I didn't invite them today because I thought let's have a preliminary discussion today. And Mr. Prasanna, who's with me from Andhra Pradesh, he's a basically IT professional. He turned to a agribusiness entrepreneur now. He was heading Wipro in Sweden. He understands applications of information technology and other things. That's why I invited him especially. Mr. Prasanna, anything would you like to say?
So
I'm just trying to understand the product, whether it is a scientific lab-based test or is it a digital device, that is going to take these profiling,
Yeah.
Because this is the first time I directly came to this meeting, so I'm just trying to learn the product first,
So, okay, sure. So, what I can say, with simple words, so what the product is about, definitely. So we had a goal at the start to create a biological mirror of traditional agrochemical test. So nitrogen, phosphorus, kalium, etc. So the same by value and the same by simplicity. So our goal just to uncover the biological side of fertility and the biological side of plant pathological risks. And what is, for example, important sometimes in Europe now, so we have several areas becoming more dry, and previous set of microorganisms there became inactual, so it can't to survive normally, and new ones are not developed, and we have due to climate change, especially last 3 years, the same situation is in Cyprus with potatoes, for example. Yeah. So it's like another conditions, but the same microbiome which became less diverse, and so there is no yet enough microorganisms which are replacing at the new conditions the previous ones, and that's why plant pathogens obtain new ecosystem windows to be successful. And it's very important that bioavailability of nutrition elements become a higher problem in this case. And also, especially for Ukraine, we made these tests also. It's a problem of like higher phytotoxicity of herbicides, which started to be notable for the next years. So, like prolonged effects due to the lack of water sometimes. In your case, what is the main problem? Is any climate change things? Is anything with soil-borne pathogens? So what is happening in these geographical areas, and what we should consider when we test, and what we should target?
No, because of the climatic change in India, there are many things which are happening. Mainly, we have been trying to develop the resistant varieties in drought-prone areas or the flooded areas, and potato is a major crop in India. So, because of the changes, the fungal problems are more recurring. In fact, and then there are pathogens who are disturbing the crops, and because of the season, it is advanced. Or it is delayed sometimes. So it's very, very difficult to predict below the soil status. And that causes the problem. Similarly, the vectors which are coming, they are also advancing because of the weather. So the vector creating for these diseases, in case of potatoes, it's a major problem these days. Though they are the fungal contaminations. So it has to be studied. It has to be mapped first. What are the problems happening? So I think we should initiate some activities to understand, to map the area. Then we will be able to reach a solution.
Thank you. So what is important? After the testing, we have just clear picture what is happening there. So fungi and bacteria, and so. When I talked about targeting, so it's not about targeting some microorganisms, because we just see SCs, not like PCR, for example, which should be targeted to some organism. We see SCs because it's sequencing-based test.
Yes.
And another thing, but when we know the problem of these growers, we can just extract data and create comparative analysis of the target functional groups. So we see everything, we have the list, but when we should explain how the organisms interact and what is definitely creating the problem, and what the instruments with field operations, for example, with correct choice of plant protection means, and with correct choice of varieties and hybrids according to a clear picture of plant pathogenic profile. So we just can't, for example, we just no more using incorrect plant protection means, which are not for these pathogens, for example, or we can't create mistake with the choice of genetics, yes, with the choice of the variety, and so it's maybe main opportunity. But if we will dig to our job deeply, so we know how to work with microorganisms. So definitely, before we have the first amount of tests, so we will talk very around, not precise. But when we will see microorganisms, we will start to give answers. Just we see the organisms, and it's mainly one thing. So please look local needs and build strategy. So from our side, we will help with everything. So if it will be needed, we can come. But what is important is to provide you with these representative rights, etc.
Yes.
And just let's try. So let's make some, I don't know, 100 maybe some tests and see how this microbiome works in different conditions. Which what is important that when we are sampling, it's very important to save a geographical point. So GPS, because we can look to the maps and then compare this data with agrochemical analysis made previously, and also to compare with the data of NDVI to see how things are growing there. So comparing these two factors, we can give more answers, but we still can do job just with our test. But when we see this complex, we can, with AI, we can find links and dependencies. And definitely, so we have two things. We have mathematic part of the team and biological part of the team. And now we are also building the cloud system. And when we will have enough samples from your region, we can also build usable geoinformatic system map for you. And taking samples one by one, we will enrich this data, and then we can answer again more questions. So we about, so we have to create good friendship of two things. So it's DNA and the data. When we have this data, so we just so we have self-learning system, which each morning, so it just works, and each morning we see renewed data, and this data can be processed. So when we enrich data with new samples from each geographical location with understandable parameters, we can dig more data from this again. So, but what is important that the analysis itself, so just the protocol and the report. So protocol is made with lack of human interference. So it's designed to be very objective, and the report is written with a human to answer the questions and advice. So it's very compact. It can be read with just average farmer, but we can provide additional data for scientists, for corporate scientists, or for. So just tell us so which the form is better for definite your client.
In fact, we have a group of scientists working with us, and mostly we have integrated the senior professors who retires from the scientific institutions. Very, very senior level people are with us, and we are trying to have a discussion and implementation with the help of farmers. So it's like a participatory approach with the institutions, with the universities, and our people. So, and to avoid that, we have also stopped using all these, agrochemicals and hybrid seeds. We plan to promote the organic farming. So the focus is more towards understanding below soil status to make it more efficient and supportive to the farmer, to the system. So we are trying to have those technologies which should be supporting to the organic farming, the natural farming. because we want to discourage it in future. So to understand it, it will help us a lot to understand below soil as well as above soil status and integrate together for a better productivity and adaptability with reference to the climate changes. So I think we can have a good collaborative approach to have a better solutions for many more, geographical areas, with starting from our areas where we are working. Because India is a large country, you know that. So, so even working in a country like India is more than enough to fulfill our, commercial appetite. This is what I mean to say. So it's a right approach, and Estonia is a beautiful country, beautiful people, and wonderful working atmosphere. In fact, I was planning to come there for some projects, but due to one other reason, because of this COVID for last 2 years, I've been thinking to come over and plan some initiatives especially in food processing. I discussed with the Estonian government; they are ready to welcome us, and maybe very soon we'll see each other. Maybe we invite you to come to India. After this COVID situation improves a little bit, you can visit us, and next meeting we can have with our technical team who are working on the similar problems in different areas. So you can have a better understanding with each other's input. Yeah.
Thank you. So definitely, let's start. So.
And you send me a list of questions which you need to answer from our side to understand more about the ecosystem, more about the problems, and the sample size can be determined whatever way you feel. You can tell us. We'll try to integrate here in this side of the area. So maybe we can support by generating the information. And Mr. Krishna, anything is from your side?
I think once we decide on the kind of samples that we want and the methodology to take out the samples, I would be helping in terms from south side of the country and give them enough samples, so we have some profiling done, and then we know something points which we might have not understood before. I'm looking forward for that.
Yeah, me too. So I definitely would like to see what's inside of the samples. So so one by one we will be able answer more questions.
Yes.
So regarding organic, it's very important. So we have clients who are highly motivated, who are growing organic products. So they are highly motivated, so they can't use pesticides, and that's why they are motivated to prevent. So we are definitely more about prevention. So people who can simply resolve problems with higher highest doses of pesticides. So they are so really interested to know what's inside, because they can. But sometimes, and even here in Europe, it's happened sometimes. So this way of field management, but sometimes they just start to save money because it's important to use pesticides against everything as previously, and they are also interested. But for organic, it's the very point we can be helpful. So
because we have a large number of farmers and we have already grouped them, and they have adopted the third-party certification, so they follow the protocol given by the certification agencies. Like you must have seen with the Japanese, so they assess at the level of amino acids and other things and all microbes, pathogens and everything put together and integrate, and then they guide them for further growing and other things. Like the technologies, they're very popular in Japan. They call it Japanese biological farming, something like that. We want to go very precise with the requirement of the agri input, which is required for the soil by natural process to be supplemented. So this is what is my target and my aim, to support and facilitate the farmers. So I think your help, it will contribute a lot. And whatever information you need from our side, please write us, I requested Mr. Blad also to write me so that I can, give more information from our side, or you send me more information so that we understand. So let's understand each other in more detail to support each other, to strengthen each other.
Thank you. We will do that. So in a couple of days. So with precisely. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time and wonderful interaction. I learned a lot, understood a lot. Thank you very much. Thank you, your team.
Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you for your time. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Bye-bye.